Alrighty then. Well, you guys were making some good guesses about what the name that ride the vehicle is, and I actually had two people that guessed it. Uh, One got it exactly, and one got it almost exactly. Um, there's a lot of guesses about Nissans and Saturns and Infinitis, and I think there was Volkswagen in there and Chevrolet and things like that. But actually, um, YouTube user TheWesDrake got it exactly right, and uh, Buddy Row 93 also guessed the same thing, but he didn't have the year down. So I'd say those are 1 and 2, and then a lot of honorable mentions. So let's see what the TheWesDrake guessed it was. This is a 1998 Infiniti Q45T, and he guessed that. He guessed the year exactly. Buddy Row 93 guessed an Infiniti Q45, and I had to think for. Well, that's nice. I had to guess. I had to think about why that the TheWesDrake was able to nail this down for the year, and then I realized why after thinking about it, and I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. But a lot of you were close. You had Infiniti down. You thought it was a QX4 or a Pathfinder, Nissan Pathfinder. So it's pretty close. It's gonna be pretty close. So good guesses, guys. So let me give you the little tour here, and I'll tell you what I know about this car. Like I said, it's a 98. It's got about 200,000 miles on it. And start out with, I had the Honda Accord, which I didn't keep that long. I sure just didn't care much for that car at all. I didn't like it. And past that, I'm getting really tired of driving a 5-speed every day. I love 5 speeds, but just having to drive 900 plus miles a week rolling a gear shift is getting old. So I wanted something automatic, and been looking and looking and looking for a nice car. I kind of wanted to upgrade a little bit and try to find something that's a little bit easier riding and nicer to drive, nicer to ride in for long distances. So I was kind of striking out on that. There's just not many vehicles out there. My brother had a 96 Cadillac Seville there for a while, and I really liked that car. But of course, nobody buys a North Star Cadillac now at all. So I got on Craigslist, and I mean, when I got on Craigslist, I'm not kidding. I mean, I stayed on Craigslist till I was about to collapse every day for a couple hours a day, just looking and looking and looking, and I mean, I looked in every corner of Craigslist, and I saved ads and saved ads and saved ads. But essentially, I had cash money to spend, and essentially what I came down to is I had a few Ford Focus cars, and I had a couple Sentras, and there was a couple old Altimas like 2002s, 2003s with a ton of miles on them. And I thought I was pretty much going to have to go with something like that. But I noticed this car, the listing for this car, and I saved it. But at first, I had not seen many of these cars. They're not really very common at all, and so didn't know much about it. But I saved it. Maybe I'll check it out, because it had a price on it that I thought was a lot lower than what it should be on it. So I thought, well, he said on the ad, he said he put that price just to have a price. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to email him, and it's going to be twice that. And twice that would have been what the thing is worth anyway. So So anyway, I went through all this, and we started having bad weather and everything like that. So I emailed 3 people about cars on the same day, and the guy with this car was the first one to email me, and you know, that's a good sign anyway. And so we kind of traded some emails back and forth, and he told me, I asked him, well, he said in his ad, he said what was wrong with it, which was, it's pretty minor, I'll tell you that in a minute, but that kind of leads into why I got it for the price I got it for. But we emailed back and forth, and I got his phone number and his address, so I could head up there. He's lives up outside Chattanooga up here, about 100 miles away. So got that, and I looked his address up. I always do that to see where people live. And he lived in a nice neighborhood. And that's always a good sign let this car go by. It's always a good sign when you see somebody lives in a good neighborhood, because they usually have spent the money to, you know, take care of something. So anyway, come that Tuesday morning, I was due to go up there and look at this car, and this guy helped do his brakes the other day. So I was due to go look at this car, and we had that terrible ice and snowstorm hit. So make a long story about that short, I had to creep out of here at 6:30 in the morning. He had this thing, he was going to leave at noon to go show it to somebody else who wanted it. And so I risked life and limb to get out of Huntsville, skidded my way out of Huntsville, and finally got up there and took a look at it and drove it. And he lived, I mean, that house is a nice house, man. It's beautiful. He's right up on top of a hill overlooking the river, just view down the river for miles. So anyway, I checked it out, and he didn't even, you know, he's an older man. It was cold, so he said, I'd just go drive it. He didn't ride with me or anything, so I went and drove it, and you know, it's just basically what he said it was. And it runs and drives great. There's no problems with that at all. So here's the story on it. Here's what I got this for, and I saved a copy of the ad in my desktop. I took a screenshot of it because I knew some people would think I was BSing. But he had this car listed for $1,700, and I'd ask him on an email. I don't normally ask people what they'll take for a car, and I didn't ask him. And I said I was just kind of confused. I said, you know, you got that you wanted to trade, and you wanted to, you know, you just had $1,700 for a price. And I said, I'm not sure. I mean, is that what you're wanting? And he came back with his email a little bit later on. He said, well, I could already do $1,500. And I'm thinking, that's why I went up there and looked at it in a snowstorm. I was like, you got to be kidding me. $1,500? You know, that's one of those, let's put it this way, this is the second best Craigslist deal I've ever made. That red Protege was the number one, and probably will always be number one. So I went up there and paid him for it, and I picked this thing up for $1,500. So I know you're asking yourself, well, what's wrong with it? There's always something wrong with a cheap car, isn't there? Well, it has a service engine swing light on, and that is for a PO 430, which means one of the converters has died. And without going into anything specific about that, that's because of legal issues. There's different ways to fix that. Let's put it that way. So, and it has a code come up randomly for a NOx sensor, which that's pretty common on these. But otherwise, like I said, everything works on it. Man, it's a heck of a car. It's the nicest car I've ever had. And the reason, you know, you think, well, why is this person selling it so cheap? The reason is that it will not pass emissions up there. they do up there around Chattanooga. Certain counties in Tennessee do emissions testing, so it will not pass emissions with a light on. So, you know, people like that, when they're well off, it's like, there comes Lyle. When they're well off, I've noticed that people would rather no, it's not. Wrong person. Seems like people would rather make some money than spend some money. Like, I guess, you know, do you want to make $1,500 or do you want to spend $500 to fix it? So, of course, emissions down here don't mean anything to me because we don't have emissions testing. So, not something I'm going to worry about. But we went back up, me and Uncle Phil went back up to, Thursday midday and picked it up, and that's the day it snowed again down here. So, brought it back home, and I've been driving it since. What this is a little walk around. You guys in Japan and other countries are more familiar with this car as a Nissan Cima. That's C-I-M-A. That's what this is. And this car, this generation, this ran from 97 through 01, and this generation Q45 is the red-headed stepchild of Q45s to people that are enthusiasts, because they it actually doesn't have a 4.5 liter engine in it anymore. It's got a 4.1. It's called a VH41DE. And the VH series engine, that's not the same engine that's in like the Titan or anything. That's an older version of that engine. I'm sorry, it's its own version. So anyway, the enthusiast, they don't like these cars, so there's not much value in them as far as that, the collectability. But you know, you go on there's a website called the Nico Forums, N-I-C-O, and you can hardly get them to even talk about this car because they view it as inferior. Of course, that's got a little scuff there. Of course, that doesn't matter to me. You know, if you want to go spend a bunch of money on a car, so be it. But so it's a 4.1 liter V8, makes about 266 horsepower, and 4-wheel disc brakes. It's in very good condition. Got that little scuff up there. That's really mostly the only significant body damage at all. Paint is very nice on it. It's got a good set of tires on it. I was looking at the paperwork, and they bought it. He said they had it since 2002, and I saw in the title he bought it in 2002. Had 39,000 miles on it. Is there something you notice that's missing on this car? Look at that. Look close here and see if you see what's missing. You notice yet? What's missing is any faded paint, any faded clear coat. As far as I can tell, it's never been painted. Infiniti was widely reported to use one of the most one of the best paint processes there were at the time, and I believe it, because there's no faded paint anywhere on this car. It's got a few little chips here and there, but paint's still in a very good condition. And that just goes to show that if you got a car that's this age and the paint's fading on it, that's because it's got cheap paint on it from the factory. And that's something I've noticed about this car from having it so far, is that you know, it's built very well, and things have held up a lot better on it than normal, I guess you could say. Let's take a look at the inside of it. And this, I know this looks black, but this is not actually black. This is, you can see it on the camera, but this is actually called cypress green. It's a real dark green. And my boss continues to insist that it's black, but like when I open the doors up, I can tell from being in that Honda, man, this door is like opening a big old heavy door. It's got a little bit of wear on the leather right here. That's the worst part of the interior. It's got some wear there. It's got some wear on the edge of the seat. It's got some pretty bad wear on the steering wheel up here. This is a touring. It's a T. That's what the T is for. So the T got you different wheels, got you a spoiler, got a little bit firmer suspension. That's mostly it. The seats are still overall in pretty good shape on the front, even for as many miles as I have on them. Armrest is in good shape. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to order one of those wheel skins, those leather ones, the good ones that lace on here, and cover this, because, you know, normally stuff like this wouldn't bother me too much, but that's kind of unsightly, and it's right here in front of me. So the other thing I noticed was a good indicator that this thing should be pretty solid was up here there's an oil change sticker, and it was well within the oil change time frame. So it's got leather over here. It's got the memory seats. This is, you can set your seat position where you want it, and then you can have two different sets of positions. You can have the wheel and the seat in one position and push one and it'll save it, and same for button 2. This thing has an electric tilt and telescope. It's got a cancel button for this thing. It's got automatic lamps, twilight sentinel. Of course, it's got cruise, your usual wipers. It's not, you know, this car for its age is kind of, you realize it's missing a few things that normal cars have. It doesn't have a tire pressure monitoring system. A lot of those have that now. It's got a lot of lights in it. The lights do different things. When you turn the key, they all come on front and back, and then you open the door and just everyone goes out but these two. You can see just this one comes on when, oh well, no, that's on. There it is. But it's got like a little, see that little light right here? Oops, come on Tyler, use the camera. At night it shines a little bit of a floodlight down here. It's not very bright, but it shines it down on the console and stuff. Makes that nice. It's got heated seats. It's got a really nice stereo. It's got a CD changer in the trunk. The climate control. It's got the outside air temperature thing. That's not real wood. That's fake wood. Of course, the headliner is in real nice shape. It's all in good condition. It's got dual visors. It's got this thing here, this home link thing. Just program your garage door opener and stuff like that. Yep, those are called your personal lights, according to the owner's manual. I'll show you the engine. I'll show you the engine in another video, because that hood is super heavy and the struts are gone out on it. So I've got a couple ordered. I got them for half price off the internet. So got those coming and all that. But you heard it the other night. It runs good. It runs real good. No problems with that. I noticed it's funny on this one. The service engine zoom light is like just super tiny. It's like hidden down in here. It's like, so, you know, the people, I guess they felt kind of guilty about even having it come on at some point, you know, so they made it real small. So It's not. It's these people that spent, I think this car was like $50,000 when it was new in 1998. So